Hi everyone, I'm Interact Amani and I'm from the District Media crew. The appointment of a new DIR is just around the corner. And with all that eagerness and competitiveness in the air, we're here today with past DIR, Interact past President Rahul Fernandez, to shed a little light on the role of a DIR and how things happen. So let's take a sneak peek. Hi Aya, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing quite good too. So, there's a lot happening these days in the Interact movement. Well, to start off easy, what sort of role did Interact play in your life?
Me, I would think Interact is sort of a kickstart. I was quite different as a person before I joined Interact, and during the course of my Interact journey, I think I've changed quite a lot. So for me to understand my potentials, to get out of a bubble of insecurities, it helped me a lot. I can go on and on, but it was sort of my restart button, if anything, and quite grateful for it because the person I am today, the things I've achieved or the things I've been through, it's solely because of Interact. A lot of things I've learned sort of gave me that journey, that experience to be who I am today. So it's a restart button and I'm quite grateful for it.
So now you said that it's quite a journey and you get a lot of experiences as well, right?
Yeah.
What would be that one memory you made in Interact that you will never forget?
I think becoming DIR was that
Highlight of it.
the highlight. It's not just because of becoming DIR, but thereafter to become DIR, it was quite a roller coaster. It wasn't the normal circumstances, but I felt like it was. There is certain things that happen for a reason, and I'm a person who usually plans months ahead on things I want to go for. But becoming DIR was something I never had planned. At the start of the year, I would have never thought of being DIR, but it happened, and I was going along the flow. I was going with the flow for that particular point, and I think it worked out pretty well. So becoming DIR, within a week, I had to come up with manifestos. I had to form a council in 1 week, which was hectic, but it was quite the experience. I think even within that 1 week, I did so much of work. I did so much of planning that set the year. It was a lot of effort, but it worked out pretty well.
Now see, we as interactors, we see the process of becoming a DIR as a long and tedious one. It's what we see and something that we've never experienced, but you had first-hand experience of that. What did you feel? Like, how did that process treat you? How did it help mold you into the person you are today?
It's quite pressurizing. Actually, there is one side of it being an honor. It really is an honor being DIR. To be able to lead thousands of youth, young kids from school who are still growing, who are becoming professionals. So to be able to lead that set is quite an honor, and that's something that I recognized early on. But at the same time, it's really pressurizing because it's very volatile about how work comes in. During my time, there was a lot of shifting in scenarios, for example, COVID, and it was at the early stages of the financial crisis, not as bad as it is now, but it was a lot. It was quite different to how maybe DIRs 5 years back may have taken it. But I think right now, as a person who is in, let's say, in the corporate sector now, even as a citizen of the country, I think it prepped me quite a lot on how to tackle issues of the current world. And not just being DIR, being an interactor. I think a lot of interactors are prepped for these scenarios, for these challenges, and it's quite the learning that you get from Interact. So once again, to answer your question, it's pressurizing, but then again, it's the learning that's most important.
Like how there's always two sides to a coin.
Exactly. You will probably have one of the worst you can see it from one end as one of, I wouldn't say the worst experience. it's an experience, whether it's challenging or not, whether you have to go through quite a lot of hardships. You can see it from that end, and you can also see it from the end where I've learned a lot from this. This is an experience I'm going to treasure, and if I do have to face something like this in the future, I'm ready as ever.
Now, you also mentioned how you had to form a council within the week, right?
Yeah.
Just 1 week. How would you say a council impacts you as a DIR, and what sort of role a council as a whole plays in guiding the Interact movement?
The council is by far the most important factor to making sure not just the DIR does the job successfully, but the entire district. The council, while they take up responsibilities in different sectors, right? They're divided into different responsibilities like chairpersons, avenue directors, but you'll see that council members aren't always exclusive to their particular role. They'll always help you as a friend, and even as a council member, they'll always support not just within the council itself, but also the interactors they're looking after. So the council is an integral point. It's very important that it does continue for a long period of time, and the support that the council gives the DIR is what makes a successful year. If that's not there, however, let's say, professional, or let's say however hardworking the DIR is, it's not going to be successful if the council isn't backing him up in that same level. So it's very important that...
So you would say that for the running DIR candidates right now, that forming that council that you're sure that will do the best job, that will put in the same amount of hard work as you, would you say that that is one of the most important things that the DIR candidates should look into right now?
It is. So even if you are planning, so DIRs do take a lot of time in planning their year. What I would suggest is planning their year based on the council member they are appointing. So you see the person you're going to appoint for a particular role, you see their strengths, and then you see how you can pounce upon those strengths through that avenue for the district. So even for example, if you have one of the best finance directors, you see how their strengths are, whether they are good in event management or coming up with merchandise that can push finances out. So that's particular strengths that change from person to person. So based on your director who you're appointing, you see what type of route you're going to take for the entire district in terms of finances. That's an example. So I think it's pretty important in that way.
I think that's a great amount of advice, not just to the DIR candidates, but also to the incoming presidents, secretaries, especially when planning their year. Now, Interact when you were the DIR was probably quite different than it is right now, right?
Yeah.
How do you think right now the movement can improve in our present day situation? What do you think that the movement right now could be doing more?
I think the movement right now, just to put it out there, is doing a pretty good job. It's different from year to year. If you see, there's COVID, there was during 2019 there was the Easter bombings and all that was going on. So from year to year there were a lot of challenges, and right now I feel it's the economic crisis affecting. Because back in the day, if we go to a sponsor asking for like 100,000 sponsorship, they'll give it like that. But now they have so much to think about, whether it's profitable for them, and now 100,000 sponsorship can't really do anything for an event. So there's a lot that I feel Interact is going through right now, but they're coping pretty well. The movement is doing really well in terms of what they're going through right now. So that's something great. In terms of advice, I would say that the scale of the projects doesn't need to be high-end always. It's the impact the project gives, right? You can have an event for, let's say, 1,000 people who wouldn't necessarily take the information you're giving, the message you're giving, and pass it on to others. But if you have a specific session or a project for 50 people who will take your message out to the society for a dedicated set of people, then you see more impact in that project of 50 people than in that project of 1,000 people who really wouldn't take your message out. So it's not about the scale of the project, it's about how impactful that project is. So in terms of even money to do the project, you can scale it down and still be impactful through your initiatives. So I feel like that's something that interactors and clubs can do right now. So, yeah.
To make sure that regardless of how big your project is, to make sure that it's impactful. I think that's really great advice. So now, like I said before, conference is just around the corner. And we have 6 individuals who are probably extremely nervous and pressurized right now. They've done their manifesto presentation. They're just waiting for the results now. What advice could you give all 6 of those candidates with regards to the process of being elected as DIR?
Okay, I think to be really frank, there is in the process of DIR there is a lot of pressurizing moments. It's right by them to be nervous. I mean, it's a big position, and maybe it's something that people may have dreamt about. For me personally, I really didn't dream about it, but I did feel the nervousness when I went in for the interview. And there's this sense of confidence you need. It may come at the last moment, but once you have that, it's all you need to achieve what you want. So that might be the deciding factor. I think there's a lot when it comes to people can ideate, people can have an idea about how they want to go ahead with their year. But if you're not confident enough so before you become DIR, first you need to sell your idea to that interview panel. If you can't sell it to them with confidence, that's where you're going to stumble upon. And that's going to be the deciding factor between who becomes DIR or not. So find that confidence to the person who hopes to be DIR. Once you find that confidence, I think once you sell it to the interview panel, they'll see you as a worthy DIR, and the mantle will be yours.
One more thing that I've been curious about. Your year as president of your respective club is most definitely would have been different than your year as DIR, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what a few of those differences were? What was the biggest difference that you were able to feel as the DIR?
When comparing presidency year and the DIR year, there was a lot. So presidency year didn't have COVID. That was a big factor during the year. There was the Easter bombings, which gave us only like about a 3-month break, like a 3-month stop in every project that we were doing. But then again, I feel like back in the day when we were presidents, there wasn't so much to think about. It was, in those words, simpler times. Not so simple, but compared to being DIR. And also when you're president of your club, you look into only a certain amount of people. When you compare the entire district, it's so minor. But then again, you work for your school, there's a lot of passion with regard to pushing out projects for your school. Because back in the day when I was president, I did most of my projects directed at club service and trying to uplift the school. In most of the projects that I did, I tried doing that. But then again, when you become DIR, you need to look from the perspective of the district and supporting all schools. So that was a big jump for me to see myself as an interactor from these particular schools, because I'm not representing my school, St. Peter's, I am representing all schools. So, yeah.
One last question. What advice would you give to all the young interactors who are probably just starting out without reaching a big position right now, just starting out? What's the piece of advice that you could give them?
I'd say a lot of people see interact in different ways, right? Some people might see it as their way to get out of the house for maybe reasons we cannot go into, but I would say treat it as an opportunity to grow. I think for me, if I didn't join Interact, life would have been quite different from. It really wouldn't be something. I wouldn't see myself being the person I am if I didn't have Interact. Whether not just good things, even the bad things that have happened through Interact, and you might stumble upon a lot of negativity through Interact, and that's understandable. It's in every movement, life. That's how it is. But then again, the learnings I get from here, even if I stumble upon some sort of negativity, I was able to take a restart and just go ahead with life again, learn from it, and grow. So that opportunity, you wouldn't find it somewhere else. There is a group of people here who are growing with you, and even if you make a mistake, people have made that mistake as well in the same moment. So no one's going to judge you. Just try to find the best version of yourself here. Yeah, that's my advice. Treat Interact as an opportunity and do your best.
So I'm pretty sure this interview today was quite fruitful, not just for me, but for everyone who will be watching this as well. And thank you so much for dedicating your time to come down here and have a chat with us. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.